Good afternoon, and thank you. Good afternoon, DC time. I know several people are joining us from outside the United States, but good afternoon, Washington, DC time. My name is Jessica Tiltman, and I am the Assistant Dean for Government Procurement Law at GW Law School. I'm also one of the course professors in the program. I teach the law school's government procurement, anti-corruption, and compliance courses, which if you join our wonderful program, you will have the opportunity to take. Today is going to be a fairly informal discussion, and this is really just an opportunity for you to meet me, meet some of our alumni, ask any questions you have, and to learn a little bit more about our program. So again, it's casual, so feel free at any time to pop a question into the chat function of Zoom, or go ahead. And if you're familiar with the hand raising function, or even, wave your hand like this, that's fine too. Let us know if you want to come on mic and ask any questions. But I will say at the outset, I'm going to go ahead and just introduce the alumni that have joined us. And then I'm going to first tell you a little bit about the program, turn it over to them to tell you a little bit about their experience in the program, and then open it up to questions. Though again, at any point, feel free to pop a question into the chat. We're joined today by Andrew from our admissions office. And I also know Dean Joshi will be coming in. There's Andrew. Welcome, Andrew. So he will also be available to answer admissions-based questions that you may have at any point. Okay, so let me just go ahead and introduce our wonderful alumni joining us. First, we have Thomas Hendricks, who received his MSL in Government Procurement Law in 2021, but he was a winter grad. You were a January grad, correct? Yes. He is the founding partner of Decisive Point, which is an investment and advisory firm specializing in emerging technologies for aerospace and defense, health and human services, energy, and critical infrastructure, where he leads venture strategy, business operations, and finance for the firm. Elizabeth Sullivan is one of our newest graduates. Elizabeth graduated with her MSL in Government Procurement and Cybersecurity just this past winter in 2021. And she's also the first graduate of our newest degree, which is our MSL in Government Procurement and Cybersecurity. She is the president of Madison Services Group, a woman-owned company that provides government relations and federal business development services. Maria Swaby received her LLM in government procurement in 2012. She is the General Service Administration's Procurement and Task and Delivery Order Ombudsman and GSA Industry Liaison. Prior to that role, she previously served as GSA suspension and debarment official and agency protest official. So 3 different types of degrees that we offer are represented by our alumni today. So with that, I am going to go ahead and tell you a little bit about our program and some of the benefits of the program. Again, happy to answer any questions you have, and then turn it over to Maria, Elizabeth, and Thomas so that they can tell you a little bit about their experiences. So we offer 4 degrees as part of our government procurement law program. Our core degrees are our Master of Laws, which is our LLM in government procurement law, and our Master of Studies of Law, which is our MSL in government procurement. The difference between an LLM and an MSL is that an LLM degree is for individuals that already have their JD degree. This is basically lawyers who want to have a significant credential on their resume, who want a specialized degree in government procurement. So you're already a lawyer. But demonstrating that the law isn't just for lawyers, we have our MSL degree, which is our Master of Studies in Law, Master of Studies in Law in Government Procurement. So these are for generally acquisition professionals, contracting professionals who want to specialize in government procurement and can benefit from a master's degree in this area, but don't want to have a law degree. So that's the 2 differences in our programs. And then we'll talk briefly about our interdisciplinary degrees. So we're often asked, why GW Law? We basically founded the concept of the academic study of government procurement law in 1960. So we're the oldest and most well-established government procurement degree program in the United States, and one of the largest in the world when it comes to government procurement law. We were founded, as I said, in 1960 by Ralph Nash and John Sabinic. You may, in fact, actually, if you're already practicing in this area, have the books in your office, the Administration of Government Contracts or the Government Contract Reference Book or Performance of Government Contracts. Many people have these books as they are the foundational books in the field. We've been offering these degrees again since 1960. Our MSL degree is our newest degree, and indeed our MSL in cybersecurity is our very newest degree, with our first graduate, Elizabeth, joining us today. One of the other reasons, if you are interested in attending our classes in person, and we'll talk about our online program in a moment, Washington, D.C., there's no place to beat for the study of government procurement law. This is where it all happens. We are in the heart of Washington, D.C., located in Foggy Bottom, in spitting distance of the World Bank, the White House, executive branch agencies. We are down the road from Congress. We are right across the water from DOD. Basically, all the things and the places that you would want to get to meet or visit while you're in DC, we are close to. And because of our location and our central location, we not only attract very well established and incredible professors, adjunct professors that are experts in the field, but also are visited frequently by the leaders in this field because they're so close. So you get constant programming at the law school from high-ranking officials, which is a wonderful boon to our students. We have the most expansive government procurement curriculum available, not just your core courses, your foundational courses in government procurement, but everything ranging from comparative government procurement, state and local procurement, grants, anti-corruption, international development. We have a new course launching this summer in other transactions, sustainable procurement. You name it, our curriculum is very vast, so it really does provide you with a comprehensive education in this field. Our faculty are world-renowned, leading experts, whether they are full-time faculty or adjunct faculty. And of course, one of the biggest benefits is our incredible alumni base. I always jokingly say that when it comes to government procurement at GW, we're a little bit like a cult, but a good sense of the word cult. Everybody feels incredibly positive about our program, the alumni, their colleagues. We truly have the most active alumni base, generally recruiting exclusively from our law school. Indeed, in some instances, students have recruited each other for positions in their own firms. It's really just a warm, welcoming community that is always there to support students while they're in school and also to support them after graduation. A few other things you should know about our degrees. They're very flexible and they're designed to meet the needs mostly of busy working professionals or even those that want to take time off and become a student full-time. So it's truly flexible. Most of our students are fully employed and taking courses part-time. And because of that, you can obtain your full degree online. These are the same exact courses that we offer in person, taught by the same world-renowned faculty. They are just flexibly designed in a flexible format so that you can take it basically anywhere in the world. And so again, we can talk a little bit more if you have questions about the delivery of them, but truly it is the same content provided to you in an online format so that it's much more convenient for you and you don't need to be located in Washington, D.C. to take our courses. If you want to come full-time, we do have some students that come and dedicate a full year, 12 to 18 months to taking their courses full-time to graduate. So those options are for you. Most of our courses, the vast majority, are in the evenings. And because they're online, pieces of the course can be done throughout the week and at your convenience, given that we know that most of you work. A lot of our courses are experiential in nature. I think Elizabeth will probably tell you about an interesting project she worked on that actually resulted in some legislation. Not to put you on the spot, Elizabeth, but ultimately the goal is to get you to not only understand and think and write and analyze these issues, but also to make sure that you're really enhancing your practice. So again, a lot of our classes will have you, if you're in the LLM program, arguing whether it's a moot court or bid protests or claims, On the other hand, in some classes like other transactions or appropriations, you're actually working on agency memos or agency emails designed to mimic practice. So again, it's designed to make sure that you are not just doing things in the theoretical, but truly grounded in practice. Our classes have a low faculty to student ratio. So again, you're getting that one-on-one guidance and instruction from your professor. You're not just one of 1,000 people in a classroom online. Generally, our classes have anywhere between 12 and 15 students in them. And then we provide unlimited opportunities for you to network. We have just an enormous number of events that we are regularly doing: alumni events, student events, substantive events where we bring speakers to come on campus to talk to you, online webinars. For those of you that aren't located in DC, many of our events are also available online or hybrid so that you can participate in them as well. But it's a lot of opportunities, not just to learn substantively in the classroom, but to network. And there's also lots of opportunities to publish. We actually strongly encourage our students to publish. And indeed, just this year alone, dozens of our students are publishing their own papers that they're writing in our courses, which is again is a significant resume credential for you. I will note that our two newest degrees are our interdisciplinary degrees. That's our LLM in government procurement and environmental law. And we also offer a specialized MSL in government procurement and cybersecurity law. Both of those are designed to really follow where the market is and trends in the market to educate you in these kind of interdisciplinary specialized areas of the law. And as we have a representative from our newest MSL in government procurement and cybersecurity, she should be able to tell you why she was interested in this particular degree. I will also mention that when it comes to our government procurement and environmental law LLM, we are launching a new sustainable procurement course in spring of 2023, taught by Professor Steve Spooner. And this is following the trend and interest in sustainable procurement issues that is generally following this entire field. And with that, that's just a little bit about our program. I have a lot more to say, but I'd rather you hear from our alumni and then open it up to questions. So I'm going to go ahead and start in order of the way I see you on my screen. And that would be Maria Swaby, who is representing our LLM in government procurement program. So thanks, Maria.
Thanks, Jessica. And just to be clear, I just wanted to make sure you asked us to speak what led me to apply for the program. What were the other two?
Just why you decided to get your LLM at GW Law School, and then also to tell them a little bit about your experience and then basically the impact it's had on your career.
Okay. So the reason, necessity was what led me to apply to the program. I was a lawyer for a good over a dozen years or dozen or so years before I decided to apply for the program, because I had gotten a job to start up and run the government business sector of the largest elevator company in the whole world. And it was like a big switch for me. I used to do labor and employment litigation before when I was in private practice. And so I really just had I was in Connecticut at the time, I had a personal interest in moving to DC. And the company created this job for me to start up and run their government business. Their thinking was that they'd rather a lawyer than a business person do this because it's easier to teach the person the business side rather than the legal side. But I know nothing about government procurement law. I just took the job because I wanted to move to DC and they were going to move me. And I thought, frankly, that I was just going to work there for a year and then, go back into some labor and employment type work in DC. And lo and behold, I fell in love with government contracts, because it's one of those things you either love it or you don't. And so for me, I fell in love with it and realized that it's very complicated. You really do have to know what you're doing, and there are consequences to not doing it right, such as suspension and debarment. And at the time, my company was a subsidiary of a large aerospace company, United Technologies Corporation. And one screw up on my part could subject the entire company and all its subsidiaries to suspension debarment. So I decided I better go learn some more about this. And the company graciously agreed to pay for me to go. And I mean, GW was the only place to go. Well, I'll be honest with you, GW, the professors were very good at recruiting. And I actually, because I was so busy at work, applied to Georgetown LLM and forgot to apply to GW and the rest of them. And I got into Georgetown and decided to go there and make this hybrid program for myself. And I was taking a class with Professor Steve Schooner. And he is the best recruiter ever for the program, I can tell you that. I mean, second to Jessica, right? Because Jessica is fantastic. But at the time, Jessica was not working at the law school when in this program when I joined. And so it was back in 2005. So yeah, you're looking at me funny, but it was way back then. Yeah. I was taking just a class as part of a consortium, and he said, "What are you doing over at Georgetown? That's the wrong school. GW is the school for government contract. You need to transfer." And that's what I did. I transferred over to GW and got my degree. So, and it has, I cannot tell you how much the degree has helped me. As I told you, the danger and the risk that were in my not know anything about government contracts law. And so in terms of helping to run the business, grow the business, do all the legal work for the government side of the business, get on GSA schedules contract. I mean, these classes were invaluable. They taught me very practical things, not just about how to get stuff done, but also about the broader legal and policy issues I would face. And so that's how I came to apply. The program is very practical. And I thought to myself, because I really want to do government contracts law, I can't just work for the private sector. I really need to go work for the government. And I was just auditing a class one day at GW, and who was sitting in the class? And this is what Jessica is talking about in terms of the kind of people that you get. David Drapkin was a former GSA senior procurement executive, and he was in the same class. And I just turned around and asked him one day, "Hey, do you have a job in your office?" And he said, "Yeah, as a matter of fact, I do." And I ended up going to work for the suspension debarment division. I then later, after my boss retired, ended up taking on his position and going from there. But that degree at GW was the foundation for the career I had after going through the program. So I just highly recommend it.
Thanks, Maria. I'm glad that Steve recruited you as well. Let's turn over next to Thomas, who's on my screen, to tell us a little bit about why you decided to come to GW, your experience, and then afterwards.
Sure. So first, thanks for having me, Jessica. I always love participating, supporting the program. So I had done 10 years in the Army, did what all misplaced New Yorkers do, and I got a job in finance. So I got my MBA at Columbia, and then I worked in private equity for a couple of years before starting my own venture capital firm. And our focus is on a lot of national security and defense, but more specifically, things that touch government, deep tech that benefits from federal R&D dollars. And my co-founder at the time was a GS-15 contracting officer from Major Weapon Systems in the Navy. So he was the only one that actually knew anything about government contracting. Like I think I could kind of fake it a little bit, but my experience with government contracting at the time had been like flying overseas with printer paper boxes filled with cash, and just like trying to maintain some accountability of that money. So I've reached out actually originally to the MBA program at GW, and I said, I already have an MBA, but I see you have these courses in government contracting. I'd love to learn more, and even just audit classes. I ended up putting in an application, and I got a very speedy no back from them that said they were not interested in having someone with an MBA already taking MBA classes. And then the next day I got a phone call from the law school actually. And the dean at the time said that they were considering making this a more formal program, asked me if I wanted to essentially be a guinea pig. And so I jumped right in. I think like literally a week later I was in classes. At the time there were all law school classes. So, I was sitting alongside people getting their LLMs or actual JD students, in like a grant laws class, and absolutely having to fake it till I made it for most of that semester. And then I think I kind of fell in on a more regular cadence with the rest of the the program, which was great. So got exposure to some fantastic folks working in space like Elizabeth. I think we've, bumped into each other on more than one topic in the past. I think that the faculty has been really supportive of everything that we do. And so I've had different professors reach out when they saw things that might be interesting opportunities for my business. I think for me, someone who did not have experience with government contract law before this, I was able to kind of bridge the business world and the legal world and provide some, context to a lot of the discussions we're having in class. And it really made for, I think, a really valuable exchange of ideas between, all the different fields that the students come from. You have some folks in your class who are very senior folks within government. They understand federal acquisitions, they understand procurement. And then you have, in some cases, first-year law school students or second-year law students that, don't exactly know how taxes work yet. So it was a good exchange for me. I didn't ever feel like I was completely outgunned in the legal field because there was, I think, an in earnest attempt to make sure that everyone understood the concepts, whether they were a lawyer, whether they're coming from a business approach. Frankly, this is something that I use every day in work. I have to, get in front of people on the government side, on the commercial side, explain some of the limitations, some of the compliance issues that they're going to bump into when they're working with government. Jessica's class is maybe the scariest class you'll take the entire time because you feel like at every turn you're going to be doing time for stepping out of bounds of compliance, but really important stuff. And I think we're only seeing more and more of convergence of government and commercial technologies. Really enjoyed the program. Happy to answer any questions. And thanks.
I'm delighted that I had the opportunity to terrorize you for an entire semester. So glad to hear that. Elizabeth, if you want to go ahead and tell us about your experience.
Yeah, thanks so much. And thanks again for having me and everyone for joining. So I'm Elizabeth Sullivan. I'm president of Madison Services Group. We're a government contracts policy firm, which I'm going to say is a fancy DC way of saying I'm a lobbyist, and we lobby for small and mid-sized business acquisition issues. So if you know anything about advocacy, in order to be an effective advocate, you actually have to know the policy subject inside and out. And as everyone's alluded to, government contracting is not exactly a field you can casually pick up one day and then make effective policy changes. It's, really a puzzle, one that I personally found fascinating, but also a puzzle that's extremely complicated. So what I figured out after a couple years at our firm, in order to catch up to the many brilliant professionals I work with on this call, Maria's a great example. I met Maria in a professional capacity first, and then learned that she's a fellow GW alum in GovCon. I was trying to figure out, what do I need to do? I probably need to go back to school. So I did some Googling and figured out that, GW is really the OG of government contract law. And I was really thrilled, as Tommy said, to see that there is a way to get that master's education of an LLM alongside the LLMs without actually having a JD. I have many brilliant acquisition attorneys that I can talk to. So I didn't need the JD, but I need that specialty education for my career. So I applied, figured out it was, the silver bullet I was looking for that would really, get me into the weeds of acquisition and then make me a better lobbyist for my clients. Jessica alluded to that I'm the first graduate of the dual MSL program in GovCon and Cyber. The reason being is halfway through working on my MSL, and I've been doing it at night, I realized one of the issues in my field that keeps coming up is DoD's new cyber certification that's called Cybersecurity Maturity Model Certification, or CMMC, now known as CMMC 2.0. And while I had a bunch of small businesses asking me and kind of screaming about all of these issues surrounding this, I opened the document and realized on one of the draft kind of outlines they had put out that I had no idea what on earth this thing said. There were, just like acquisition, there were about 1 million acronyms and things that I figured out that if there's any way I was going to effectively advocate for this, I needed more school. So GW thankfully had come up with this MSL program. So I undertook that and added about another year on my degree, but it was extremely valuable and I couldn't do my job without it. Kind of my experience at the law school. So, you know, having not had a JD, I expected maybe a typical lecture. Despite being in DC, I actually ended up doing all of my classes online because that's what worked best for my schedule because I live on the other side of the city. That actually was not the case at all. It was not someone just sitting there talking at you, but really the classes were focused on discussion, which I really appreciated. You know, as an adult, I don't really need to be lectured about things. I was interested in my other classmates' perspectives. So that diversity in perspective is another thing I found really useful because, as you know, Tommy and Maria said, it's people all over the acquisition field. Whether they're judge advocate generals or in Tommy's position or Maria's position, or we had someone in Alaska who was an attorney looking to get into GovCon law who was, you know, in our classes. I found that really useful. And I also found that faculty, again, that's been alluded to, really useful. For example, Professor Eukins teaches foreign government contracting amongst some other classes. And when we were going over different topics like the World Bank, he then had someone who did acquisition for the World Bank as our guest speaker. So it's not just the faculty who's incredible, like him, who runs around the world helping countries develop their acquisition systems. I can't think of a better person to teach that class, but the guest lecturers I found really, really helpful. And just kind of how it's impacted my career, I've kind of alluded to it. The network is just incredible. I run into people who are alumni, not just at our events, but like other acquisition focused events. They're at agencies, they're on Capitol Hill as staff, you know, private practitioners as lawyers, but also non-lawyers, people like Tommy doing incredibly innovative things at his company. They're also at large prime contractors. So, you know, that network for me is really valuable. I also still use my professors to help make some policy changes. I'll ping them about information, which I really appreciate, but it's also allowed me to be able to, you know, get things through Congress that there's no way I would have been able to if I didn't have that education before. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I have a lot more I can say.
You've convinced me. No, but Elizabeth is right. We actually regularly have guest speakers that come to our classes and come to speak at our programs. It's actually a key component of what we do is getting the practitioner perspective. I think Maria participates in a ton of our classes. Maria will actually be joining me for my class. In fact, she's on the hook every semester in my anti-corruption class where she comes in for a suspension and debarment exercise, which is pretty fun. So it's a benefit to it. So at this point, what we're going to do is we're going to open it up to questions. We've had a few in the chat that are coming in, so I'm going to go ahead and answer them. And then I would just add for Maria and Elizabeth and Thomas, if you guys have anything you want to add, just kind of jump in. And feel free either to kind of raise your hand or continue to put things in the chat and we'll go through them. The first question from Allison, she asked about the benefit of an LLM degree. And I assume this would also work for MSL degree too. So we could just say generally a government procurement degree from GW if you're not a US lawyer. And the answer is it's a huge benefit. And we actually have a lot of international students that come to our program to obtain a degree here in government procurement. And they come with a variety of backgrounds. So the United States has probably the most mature government procurement system in the world. So one of the benefits to learning about our system is that you learn a lot of the best practices that we have. You also learn a little bit about the not so best practices that we have. You get the benefit of the good things that we have and the benefit of the bad things. So it's a lot of it is we get a lot of people that come here so that they either work for their government in their country, they work for law firms in their own country, they're in academia in their country, or they're in non-governmental organizations that ultimately can learn from our experiences that they can then come home and can really enrich and benefit the work that they do. So having an understanding of our system really benefits it that way. I will note, I didn't note this at the outset, we have the largest government procurement law library in the world. We have every resource you could even imagine at your fingertips. We have an outstanding law librarian. So a lot of times our international students will actually, they come here not only for the classes and the contacts and the network and all these other opportunities, but they come here for the access to our resources. Our librarian will say on day one during orientation, if there's a resource I don't have, tell me, because I'm going to get it. Because we have just truly an outstanding resource library for you. So really, it's ultimately whatever your career goal is, you can use the education here to enhance your experience, to publish, to do research, comparative research that can help influence your work when you return. Sometimes students come here because they want to stay. They want to stay in the United States. We have a lot of students that go on to work at the World Bank, to work in other international organizations. So there's a real benefit that way as well. And I'm not sure if Shanaz is on here, Dean Josh is here, or Andrew has anything to add to that.
Hi, I am Jessica. Absolutely. Being in Washington gives you the opportunity. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Gives you the opportunity to really take what you're learning in the classroom and put it into practice outside in terms of networking and all of that. So I completely agree with Dean Tiltman on that.
Thank you. And I will also add, I did receive a message asking also about our MSL program, and I believe it's the same benefit. There's a reason that our faculty, myself included, work with countries around the world as they're developing their systems. It's because people often learn from the best and not so great practices of the United States, because our system is so mature, you get to learn from the good things and the bad in helping to design your own system. So truly, we find that most of our international students, truly what they learn here informs their work, whatever they ultimately decide to pursue upon graduation. And frankly, not only does it inform your work if you go home to a job that you already were planning to return to, but if you want to find a new career, and that's a lot of it too. It's a stepping stone, and it's a significant resume credential, so that you can go on to another career if you ultimately decide to do so. So I think that helps there.
Jessica, I'll go.
Yeah, go ahead.
Who's first?
No, go for it, Maria.
Yeah, I just wanted to add as to the practicality of the degree for foreign students and abroad. Countries around the world are always looking to the US, as Jessica was saying, for best practices on the procurement system. And so one of the things that I do is actually work a lot with foreign governments to help them with their procurement system. So they have delegations that come here that we give workshops on procurement law, but I'd point out two very significant countries that I worked with, Canada and the country of Tunisia, to set up their suspension and debarment system. And I mean, literally from scratch. And I went to Tunisia like 3 times, conducted workshops, have had them come here. The Canadians have come here. We've like given them open visibility into our systems. Their government officials have trained them. And so you can see the value and the impact of this degree on not just your personal self, right? I mean, it's great to have that for your career, but really we're in public service, those of us who are in the government, and what you can see is the impact of the degree on the world. Like Tunisia was under a different regime politically, and they wanted to become a democracy. And they really wanted to really fight the corruption in their procurement system. And that's why they came to us for help, and suspension and barment is one. So I cannot tell you the value enough of that value to an international student and to foreign countries.
We also had we actually had a lot of students, I'm just thinking of the foreign government contracting class, who were former students working internationally in a different role, come talk to us during that class. So I know that, you know, the law school also puts out opportunities that aren't necessarily in the US as well. But I say that class, I love a lot of my classes. It's just that one really sticks out as, you know, since we had a lot of speakers that came that were kind of sprinkled all over the place. That's why, you know, I focused on that one initially.
It's a good class. I think that's a class where we tend to have the most publications following it as well, because it's just the nature of the beast. So I'm going to try to follow my best, and hopefully I'm not duplicating Andrew's, but I do see a question about different time zones. So I will say that there is an expectation that you will attend class. Now, let me tell you how this works. Our online programs, again, we take 6 to 8 months to design them. They're not just you going onto some website, looking at a few things and then calling it a day. These are really robust courses. So what will happen in an online course is over the course of the week, you will get lecture content provided to you in videos, typically around 15 to 20 minute chunks over the course of that session. So you watch the lecture videos, you do your readings on your own time. Then once a week, you will meet for anywhere between 60 to 120 minutes. It varies. Most of them are 60 to 90 minutes, just once a week. You'll meet with the course professor to actually have a really robust discussion about what you just watched on the videos. So it's called active learning. We don't just lecture at you for that classroom period. You watch the videos in your own time, and then the class time is used for a discussion to tease out the concepts. It's a lot about what our my wonderful alumni panel here has been discussing. It's really interesting discussion where students with interesting different backgrounds can share their perspectives on these concepts, and really is what makes our classes so unique. There's a lot of real-time feedback through essays and other types of work you'll do over the course of the semester. Some of the classes are paper classes, some of the classes are exam classes, but there is a need to be able to attend the live session weekly. Obviously, work conflicts come up. We understand that, but generally speaking, you would need to be able to find a way to attend it. Most of our classes are at 6 p.m., 7 p.m. or 8 p.m. Eastern time in the evening. I'm the only random person that has mine at lunchtime, noon in DC time, but that's generally when our classes take place. So we appreciate that sometimes it can be a little bit more challenging, but it is a necessity because we don't want you just having the experience of looking at the videos. You need to have that live contact to ensure that the classes are robust and it's a meaningful degree program for you. So someone asked, can you apply without having a degree in law? Yes, that's absolutely what our MSL program is for. No one in our MSL program has a law degree. It's designed for acquisition professionals or contracting professionals. So what is the maximum duration to complete the courses? So we're thinking about our degree program. So it's a 24 credit degree program. I should note that if you're already a US-based acquisition professional who has a DAU certification, we do accept up to 6 transfer credits. If you're interested in that, send me an email afterwards, and I can send you information about how we do the DAU transfer credit process. But generally speaking, it's a 24 credit program, regardless if you're in the LLM or MSL program. Most students that are working part-time will take on average anywhere from 1 to 3 courses a semester, just depending on that particular semester and how busy they are at work or the nature of the particular courses. Most students will take on average 2 to 3 years to finish the degree in a part-time format or part-time track. You can certainly finish it in 1 year if you want to take the classes full-time. It's 12 credits per semester. Some students do it in 18 months, but it's mostly 2 to 3 years on average, 2 to 3 classes a semester. We do offer courses during the summer as well, so you can take it fall, spring, and summer. And that's typically the pace. So international students doing it abroad, yes, you can do the class fully abroad in an online format. All of the required courses are available online. And interestingly, all of our cybersecurity courses are coming online starting in the fall. But we envision by the end of fall, the end of the 2022-2023 academic year, the vast majority of our courses will be available in an online format. There's maybe 1 or 2 that are not, but are fairly small courses anyway, that would not be considered core courses.
Jessica, one thing I'd love to add is that unlike maybe what a lot of people have experienced in the past, like the online courses are really well put together. They're not hand waves. I think when I first started the program, I was actually going down to DC once a week from New York for class. And frankly, I think I got more out of the online classes because I could go back and watch those videos multiple times, or, kind of line them up with the slide decks that came with them. They're really well produced, but also, super informative.
You also get to know your classmates because there are opportunities that you do some group things depending on what class you're in. But I would echo what Tommy said. And also the classes are always evolving, which I appreciate, other than, like formation of government contracts and performance of government contracts, other things pop up. I'm, thinking about going and trying to figure out how I can take that other transactions class that Jessica put together. I've been harassing her for a small business class that I'm sure will come in the future.
It's coming.
I'm very excited. So even having graduated, I'm kind of jealous of, I know I can come back and take a few, but I just really appreciate that even throughout my, however long I was in, 2.5 years in the program, new things did pop up. And to Tommy's point, had similar on the procurement side, had that format that really was discussion based and interesting and not just someone talking at you. It really took away the online stigma for me, because I'm not going to lie, I had some stigma about online classes, but I agree with Tommy. I mean, I ended up doing my whole degree online because despite being in DC, I found those classes really valuable.
And could I just add, Jessica, in terms of the practicality of the online, because this is kind of the way of the future, and I think GW is, everybody says it's been well put together. I co-teach a suspension debarment short course starting my first semester with Professor Eukins, and as someone who is co-teaching, and
congrats,
excellent, thank you. And what I would say is for those students online, abroad, or remote, wherever, there are some government agencies that, because one of the things that Jessica mentioned, you get exposure to is like the DC, right? The hub of procurement. And the school kind of allows you to do classes for credit. And I don't know, does this program allow that? I know it's a JD, maybe I mix it up with the JD program. The MSL, does that allow that?
But I was looking at a question in the chat. Repeat that question. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, well, I was saying that the law school in general has externships, and I don't know if it's possible for these students or to do externships in government arenas, either private sector, public sector. And so the government, I know a lot of agencies hire current students to do externships in exchange for credit, and or pay depending on what you want. And I would say a new opportunity that's come up is a lot of agencies, and not my agency is General Services Administration, has decided to go mostly remote if your job can be done from remote. So one of the benefits is that if you are somewhere else and can't physically be in DC, you could still have an externship with an agency that allows you to work remotely, because that's the culture of our agency. So look for those kinds of opportunities that would allow you to get some practical experience, not just the academic learning. And the school is great at that and great at advertising that. And because I think that's one of the things that we need to highlight is the network you have to find jobs and to make connections, you know, all the time. So I just wanted to encourage that for the people who are hesitant about online stuff. There's a whole new world opening up there, and you should just go for it.
Yeah, thanks for saying that. And I will, I want to talk about our faculty in a minute. I would just say, as far as our online classes, I obviously concur with everything that you're hearing, and you're hearing directly from the people who've taken the courses, but we put a lot of time and effort and thought into developing these courses because we want them to be as robust and meaningful as possible for you. We keep the content current. We get speakers from everywhere joining the classes. That's one of the benefits. I think for most people, the pandemic has really changed what it means to communicate online. So I think at the beginning, we were almost pioneers years before the pandemic, when we were doing experiential activities, when we were doing some of these meetings or judicial hearings or meetings or other sorts of things that people couldn't imagine being done online. Now, for most people, it's accepted and it's normal. So it really has become a really effective way, and we have really good technology, really good platforms, and everything works quite well. A few things about our colleagues. I put a link into the chat with links to our full and part-time faculty associated with the program. Our full-time faculty, Professor Steve Schooner, and also Professor Eukins, Professor Schwartz, are just really leaders in this field. They truly are people you've seen at a lot of different international programs, national and international. They've written and published dozens and dozens of articles, the leading textbooks in our field, Administration of Government Contracts, and also Formations of Government Contracts, the Government Contracts Reference Book, come from our law school as well. And they have more books beyond that. So these are the people that will be in your classrooms. On top of it, we have a huge assortment of government procurement professionals that come and serve as adjunct professors. Maria started teaching co-teaching our suspension and debarment short course. I teach the anti-corruption and compliance course. We have leading experts on grant law that come to our courses. Professor Eukins teaches our state and local comparative foreign government contracting and procurement reform courses. Professor Schooner teaches our core courses, but also was developing a sustainable procurement course for us next year. We have courses that focus on intellectual property and government contracts, other transactions, appropriations. We have experiential courses that focus on bid protests and claims, or bid challenges for those of you outside the United States, contract negotiations. We truly run the whole range of opportunities, and the people that teach these courses are great. And I noticed that Elizabeth talked about one of our newer courses, which we just love dearly. Matthew Blum is a White House official that comes in and teaches students how to basically take the policy proposals they've written in their course papers and turn them into policy that could actually potentially get enacted. So it's a really valuable course for those students that are interested in policy. I see Shernaz has her virtual hand up.
Thanks, Jessica. I just wanted to draw everybody's attention to the fact that we actually have a practical track for the government procurement LLM. Going back to what Maria was saying about externships, we actually have an LLM in government procurement law that requires you to do an externship as part of your degree requirements. So I just wanted to mention that.
Yeah, and one of our students right now is on the practical track, visiting us from Brazil, getting his LLM. He is working at the World Bank this semester in the Office of Suspension and Debarment. The World Bank is a very popular externship location for our international students, but we have students all over the place that do it. We currently don't have an externship program for our MSL degree yet, mostly because our MSLs work full-time and are taking their courses part-time. Though I have been talking, and Tommy and I actually need to continue talking offline about how to create some new opportunities, experiential opportunities for our MSLs offline, because increasingly our students are seeking these opportunities.
Oh, and if you know anyone that would be interested in the advocacy field in procurement, let me know.
Yeah, we offer graduate independent writing for both LLMs and MSLs that are incredibly broad. So one of the things I'm doing even right now with some of our MSL students is to work on kind of policy pieces or practical research projects that can be used, and partnering with outside organizations that want to work with them. And that's a mechanism for them to do that. So yes, Elizabeth and Thomas, we will talk after this about opportunities on how to get students this type of experience. Okay, so I'm looking right now. More questions. I'm hoping I'm not going to miss this. Let me see. You mentioned summer classes. Are these classes in a series? Are they can, Kelly, great question. They can be taken randomly. So we right now offer 3 classes over the summer. Starting this summer, we'll be offering our new other transactions course. We have an appropriations course that we offer that focuses on appropriations and government procurement, and a new online course in bid protests. So bid protests and other transactions are online. Appropriations is going to be a short course. It's going to be offered over the course of a weekend, a long weekend. Though we are increasingly thinking about moving that one online because most of our students want to take the classes online. So we offer that. It does mix up every summer. We sometimes offer new things. Increasingly, our students want summer courses, so we'll probably be adding to that list, not taking away. But that's traditionally we offer. So you could take them whenever it's convenient. And I hear you on the fiscal year. A lot of our students will take fewer credits during the fall semester and then take more in the spring semester and more and catch up over the summer. I'll also point out that graduate independent legal writing doesn't fall within necessarily a semester boundary. So students have some flexibility in taking those where they don't have to rely on a weekly course to get that. And I'm doing that right now with one of our students who's at the Army in our MSL program. I had a student that worked with me for credit last semester on developing an intelligent automation series that worked on creating work product for that. And she's a very senior official with the Army that's doing a lot of innovation in the Army. So she received credit that way. And a student this semester that's working on how to reform ethics issues for procurement officials in the government. And she's doing an independent study on that too.
And I forgot to note, Dean Tiltman, if you could say for anyone interested in the cyber and GovCon MSL, the cyber were in person, but I believe you said that by this fall, they'll be online. I know people have asked.
Yeah, it's a great question. I've been pushing that program for a while, and I'm delighted to inform you that they are coming online starting
awesome.
this fall. So it will be coming in similar to the government procurement program. It's not going to be like the whole degree available fall 22, but you don't need that anyway. They're coming on in piecemeal, but you will be able to complete your degree in time as these courses come online. So some will be coming on in fall, some will be coming on in spring, but there'll be enough by the end of spring 2023 to complete the degree requirements for your MSL in government procurement and cybersecurity.
Oh, that's so awesome.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And so, yeah, so that's basically, I'm trying to make sure we're not missing any of their questions. And I didn't know if Shanaz, if you had any other thoughts as I make sure I don't want to miss somebody. If students have questions after this, should they go ahead and contact your office? Because we did tell everyone that if you did attend today's session, the application fee is waived for you right now. And I think your office has a list of the students that's come through. If anybody has any questions about the application process, you're welcome to reach out to our admissions office. I will follow up this session with not only a link to the recording, but also I'll resend everybody the guides that we have to our various degree programs that may be of interest to you. And then Andrew's provided his contact information. Any final thoughts from our panel or final questions before we?
I would offer that if anybody feels the need to talk one-on-one, I'm pretty open to having a discussion. So if somebody could provide my GW email address, that's fine. If anybody wants to contact one-on-one, I'd be open to
That is
answer any
very kind
questions
of
you
you.
might have.
Same.
I'd say that this isn't just for, I think increasingly isn't just for procurement folks, right? If you're in a business that touches the government, whether you're an acquisitions person or an executive, you need to know, and you have a responsibility to know the compliance issues and all the things that go along with working with the government. So, I think hopefully we'll see more and more business people, people from the emerging technology world enter into this space.
Agreed.
I have a quick question. This is Rebecca. Out of the alumni here, how many of you took this part-time?
I think all of us.
All of us.
Okay.
We're all
I'm
working.
trying to think like, how doable is this, right? That's my
Yeah.
biggest concern, clearly. So,
So I was going to say, so Tommy runs company. Maria is one of the busiest people I know, and I also run a company. And the best part, I think, is because of the format, you can take it at will. I'm not going to lie, it's a lot of work, right? But it was worth for me every single hour I put into it. But if something does come up or there is a conflict, what I appreciate is the professor's flexibility, right? Like, you're not gonna be able to miss every class, but I had something for work I had to miss. That was fine. The Zoom session was recorded, so that was helpful. But I just I took a different amount of classes based on what I need to do, but also like some semesters I took 2, some I took 3, one I took 1. So I just kind of balanced that. And, Dean Tiltman and the whole team is really helpful in telling you, hey, this class is really intense, right? Like the formations course. So you'll probably not want to take that and cost and pricing together, or you will drown, right? Or I feel like Tommy did that and he was fine. But something like, they'll help you too with telling you like, this is more work here, this is more work there, or like the format of the class. A lot of them are paper-based courses, right? Which I personally found very helpful. The cyber part were a lot more exams, but they're, again, it's made for working professionals. So they're not, a lot of the time they're, it's a lot of work, but I found it like an attainable amount of work to be able to do at the same time.
thank you very much.
Yeah, I didn't think it was unreasonable. I was on a timeline because I was using the GI Bill for it. So I kind of had to smash through some of the courses that, lining them up when it was probably inopportune just because I started, in the spring. But just a plug on that for any veterans that are applying to this. I mean, I don't know how GW does it, but they find a way, because I say that with years of Columbia Business School debt still over my head. GW figured it out and found a way. I don't know how they did it, but really very good at working with veterans. They had a great veterans office and made it really easy.
Yeah, I was just going to add that I think, Rebecca, your concern is valid because it is hard. And at the time I had a job, I was flying all over the country all the time. But one of the things is, one, they have the classes at night in the evening. I think you're actually at a much greater advantage than I was, because this, that was 15 or so years ago that I went through this program. Online didn't exist then, it was all in person. So there's way more flexibility. And as Elizabeth said, they're so flexible with what you have to do that, yes, it's going to be hard, you're going to be challenged, but you also have the flexibility of picking the classes you want to do when you want to do them on your own time period. As you see, I started this program in 2005, but I didn't get my degree till 2012. Not because I didn't do the coursework in the 2-year period, but there was a thesis, attached to it, and that was very difficult to do while you're working full time. So, but I'll say this, and I don't want you to take it the wrong way. Even if you never end up finishing this course, just taking the classes alone will like help you leaps and bounds. I want you to get your degree. I want you to finish it, but just so you know, it's so helpful, the information you're getting, that's really the meat of the whole thing is actually attending the classes. So it's definitely doable.
Thank you. I have one more question. Sorry to take the stand so much. Dean Tiltman, if I do part-time though, isn't there like a time limit to where like I start and finish? I think I've heard that, but no.
It roughly takes you 2 to 3 years, but we're flexible with you. Look, I will just say this, and it's been echoed by the comments you've already heard. We know that the vast majority of our students are working full time. So when I'm thinking about my course schedules and planning, it is 100% with you in mind. I'm constantly thinking, how can we create a course? For example, appropriations is in person, and it's typically over 6 weeks, once a week. And I said, you know what, the people that aren't in DC, let's put it over a long weekend and find a way that can make it easier for someone to knock out this course and take it, but without having to commit on a weekly basis. So I'm always thinking creatively about how I can work with you. And I'll also say every student that comes into this program meets one-on-one with me. And we also have a graduate advisor, Stephanie Algeier, who will work with you to figure out what is appropriate for you given your workload and what's going on in your life, frankly. We talk about people have kids, people get married, people are doing all these other things. We're working, like, we will design your course schedule around what's happening to you, because we always want to set you up for success. We never want you to take off more than you can chew and get frustrated and backtrack. So it's all about setting you up for success that way. And so we are very flexible with these things.
Thank you for both my questions. Thanks again, guys. Thank you.
So I'm putting my email in here too. You will hear from me after this event. I'm sure we would all love to sit and keep talking all day. This is great. And I love the questions. Feel free to reach out to us if you have follow-up. I will send us a link of the recording again and follow-up material. But thanks everyone for taking time to meet with us today. It was great to hear from you and to hear your questions. It was great to meet some of you. And I will also say a big, huge thank you to Maria, Elizabeth, and Thomas for coming today. You guys are rock stars from our program. We're so proud to have you as alumni, and really, this was fantastic. So again, thank you, everyone. And we look forward to hearing from you. So thanks. Take care.